Hey everyone, it's been a long and busy week, so I'm going to take tonight and I'm going to cook with my favorite tool, the cast iron frying pan. Let's get started. So I hope everyone's had a great week. I've been in front of the computer editing non-stop. It's been very busy and not a lot of exercise due to the cold weather. So finally today, got out for a walk with the dog. We got to stretch our legs and it was a great time. So I'm taking a break tonight. I'm making a little bit of a treat for a meal for myself. I don't get to very often, so I decided to pick up a very nice steak today. And I'm gonna cook with the cast iron frying pan. Along with the busy week, at the very beginning, I published my first book. It's a kid's book. It's called My Oilfield Dad. It's about fracking. That book is now available on Amazon, so you can look it up. I'll probably put a link in the description as well, so you can check it out. A fun fact about me is that I start a lot of different projects. I'm known very well by my friends and family that some of them don't get completed because I don't even know why. Why don't they get completed? There's no reason. Because I like trying a little bit of everything in life. Some of it doesn't get completed, so I'm super proud to say that this book actually got seen to completion. It's illustrated by Dean Foster, a local artist. Without him, that book could have not happened. Thanks to Dean. Now let's get going to cooking. So tonight I'm making a ribeye steak. I picked it up from 6 on the Block in Lacombe. They're my favorite butcher, awesome people, and they have amazing cuts of meat. This thing is like 1.25 inches thick, I think. I think that's what Pam told me, 1.25 inches thick. This is a big ribeye steak. So being that it's that thick, it's quite cold from being in the fridge. So I'm gonna leave this out to adjust to room temperature, probably right around about a half an hour to 45 minutes so that it actually warms up. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very cold center and your steak's not gonna cook the way that you were planning. This recipe is gonna be super simple. What I'm gonna use is just basics. You know, I'm going to use a little bit of grapeseed oil. We've got rosemary and thyme. Don't use the powdered stuff, use the fresh ones. Butter and cast iron frying pan. Those are the only ingredients I'm using for this steak. That's how I like it. I prefer the taste of the steak. I want to do too many sauces and seasonings and rubs. I just want a steak. So while the steak warms up, let's just wait and whiskey. So now the steak has had some time to warm up to the room temperature, so I'm gonna unwrap it. This lovely steak, look at this. Look at that. It is massive. This is a ribeye steak. It's got all the fat that I like on it. I love when that renders down. It's juicy, it's thick. This is going to stay nice and cool on the inside because I personally prefer a rare steak. That is a steak. The way I'm going to prepare this steak is very simple. This is going straight into the cast iron. So right now it's going to be a matter of getting the cast iron hot, getting the oil hot, and then steak in. This dinner really only takes like 10 minutes to cook. Steak. So we have steak, we have whiskey. These things are what weekends are made of. This is a great weekend right here. I really only get a little bit of time to cook. So for me to take the time to set up the kitchen with lights and stuff, set the heat to medium. The cast iron will take a little bit to heat up and get it all nice and even, but so to check if my cast iron's hot enough, what I usually do is I just get a little bit of water on my fingers and then so that water evaporates, your cast iron pan is definitely hot. So at this point, I'll turn the heat back from medium to a medium low. I don't know. If you want to use numbers for your stove, I would say like 5 from 6 to 5 to 6. I find that if I have it on 6, it's way too hot. We're gonna put the oil in now. A little bit of oil in the pan just to coat the bottom. It's going to make a mess. It's gonna spatter everywhere. That's just me going into oil. I'm gonna take my steak, gently lay it into the pan. Lay it in away from you so you don't get oil splashing all over you. Get that in there. Cooking. This is gonna be good. And it's already making a mess. And the oil everywhere. Now while this is cooking, I'm gonna get some butter together. I'm gonna give it about 4 minutes on this side here. It is a very thick steak as you've seen, so give it some time to get a good sear on there. Cheers. When you're dealing with a steak, good etiquette is to use tongs. You don't want to be piercing your steak or stabbing it with a fork. This is gonna help when you wanna sear the sides. You can grip it, hold it, and lay it down and get all the edges seared the way you want to. This is smelling good already. I've had rosemary, I think, on my steak before. I can't remember. I definitely use thyme, but today I spoke with my buddy Tony and he said definitely do this recipe with some rosemary. I'm gonna use a handful, just like a few sprigs of thyme. 3 sprigs of rosemary. You can see right now, there's a bit of smoke coming off of there. At this point, I'm ready to flip. So, grab our tongs, flip her over. Put those guys in there. The smoke in here is already starting to billow. After I open the window, I'll get the butter out and then we'll start basting. If your house has a particularly sensitive fire alarm, I definitely recommend at this point take it down. Do not forget to put it back up though. Just for fun, I'm gonna throw some more time in because we could all use a little more time. That's a stupid joke. If you keep your stove at somewhere around 5, it's probably best. If you go up to around that 6 mark, it gets a little too hot. You can see the smoke. I got it a little too hot. It happens. Next for basting, what you want to use is a big chunk of butter, like this. Get that in the pan. You're gonna use a spoon, scoop that over the steak. Grab your oven mitt, hold your pan, and you're going to spoon the butter over the steak. Okay, so I'm pretty close to the 4-minute mark on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out why I put my greasy tongs on my camera strap. I want to check the steak. Don't forget your oven mitts. Hold that pan. So you can see I got that nice golden sear on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up on edge. I want to get this spot right here just a little bit more cooked. Pick it up with the tongs and just get that side down in the oil and the butter. Like I said before, I like more of a rare steak. I'm just going to touch up the edges at this point and then we're going to let it rest. The steak is done to my personal preference at this point, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off of the stove, oven mitt, tongs, I'm going to take that off, right onto your cutting board. Check this out. That's a steak. So what we're gonna do with this guy now is I'm gonna give it 5 minutes to rest. Take a little bit more of that butter, baste it over top. It's gonna sizzle a little as it hits that steak. Leaving this here for 5 minutes, and then after that, we'll give it a little bit of a salt, slice, we're done. All right, so the steak has rested for 5 minutes now. I'm gonna get to cutting this. It's up to you. You can salt it before, salt it after. I'm gonna salt mine after. So a quick recap on how I did this. So this was cast iron done at medium heat with grapeseed oil, thyme, and rosemary for about 4.5 minutes on each side. Rested for 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna cut it, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and that is it. That is how I make my steak. So cutting into this ribeye steak from 6 on the Block Quality Meats. This is a custom cut steak. So when you walk into 6 on the Block, you just ask them for what you want. They cut it for you. Here you are. Look at that. 4 minutes on each side, cast iron at medium heat. The dog is waiting on the floor below me for any drips. The resting for 5 minutes is definitely very important. That gives you that, resting it gives you that juiciness. It reabsorbs all of its. I'm not a chef. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna stop right now and just tell you, I'm not a chef and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I've obviously, like everybody else, get my recipes online. So I'm just gonna slice this up. It's even all the way through. It's cooked just that same way. It's a beautiful rare. That's it, that's my steak. That's cast iron steak with me. That's all I do. It's very simple. Can't wait for winter to be over so I can do this outside instead of smoking out the house. So I did not open this yet. I'd love to go all Salt Bay on this and dump it everywhere, but I'm not into cleaning that. Sprinkle a little bit of salt. That's it. I'm not even putting my equipment away. I'm gonna eat and then I'm gonna clean up. This is just too good. All right, so that's this week's episode. Just a quick and easy steak from a local butcher shop. Well done in a cast iron pan. Not well done, that was stupid. So thank you very much again for joining me this week for Cast Iron Cooking. I don't do cooking shows, so this is a first. It was a lot of fun. I hope maybe this was helpful. Maybe you wanna go purchase a cast iron frying pan. They're dirt cheap. You can get them at places like Canadian Tire or fishing or camping stores. Any store that sells pots and pans, they definitely have cast iron. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and then hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video, because who knows what's it gonna be. It was Bitcoin last week and we're cooking this week. So cheers. This is such a beautiful piece of steak. Oh my God, it's so good. Well, that's dinner. So here we go. Catch you on the next one. Cast iron holds a lot of heat. So anyways, I don't need to tell you all about cast iron pans. It's smoky as in here. What I'm gonna do first off is add the oil to the pan, and that's gonna be, well, that doesn't help. We can see this stupid light in the back.